In a dark back alley, the sharp clang of metal echoes through the night. A dark-haired woman, dragging a baseball bat, wonders how much farther she still has to go. Going live on her phone, she cheerfully greets the 103 people watching. Hello, I'm Kwon-jia. A narrator explains that Kwon-jia is a 24-year-old YouTuber with a large following of 680,000 subscribers. Thumbnails of her past videos show her usual content, desserts, beauty tips, and light-hearted vlogs. Sitting at her laptop in despair, Kwon-jia sees her income and view counts all dropping. While streaming live, she steels her resolve, reminding herself not to mess up as she chases the dream of a gold play button. Suddenly, a clanking noise startles her, and her viewers begin asking about the strange sound. Nervously laughing, she awkwardly holds up the bat to the camera and explains what it is. Kwon-jia tells her viewers that the bat is only for self-defense, a gift from her eccentric friend Aaron. She dismisses their concerns about the neighborhood's dangers. Reading the worried comments, she trails off with a thoughtful little then thanks her fans for their concern, just as the sound of footsteps signals someone approaching from behind. Unaware of the person behind her, she turns away from the camera, boasting about how strong she is. Her audience laughs and she pouts, complaining that they're hurting her pride. To prove her strength, Kwon-jia sets her phone on a tripod and tells her viewers to wait for a quick demonstration. As she prepares to swing the bat, a silver-haired man suddenly appears behind her. Her frantic viewers try warning her in the chat, but with a powerful swing, Kwon-jia smashes the bat directly into the man's head, shocking her entire audience. He collapses, and she freezes in place as the chat explodes, realizing she's in deep trouble. One comment flashes across the screen: she's screwed. As Kwon-jia stares in horror, more comments pour in, when suddenly a scream of terror rips through the alley. Realizing this is their first meeting, a tearful Kwon-jia breaks down, crying, "I'm so sorry." The silver-haired man lies bruised with a bloody nose while she frantically promises to call 911, begging him to stay awake. Desperate, she pleads with him not to pass out, swearing she'll take full responsibility. Later, in a hospital bed, the bandaged man is identified as Guchan. Only 20 years old, Guchan works in construction to support his family. With a weary sigh, he thinks about his hard day's work and worries over mounting expenses, knowing labor alone won't be enough. Outside his room, Kwon-jia hesitates. Frustrated with his situation, Guchan decides to get back to work and starts pulling out the Ford drip. With determination in his eyes, he resolves to earn money. Just then, Kwon-jia rushes in, startling him by telling him to wait. She gently stops him from yanking the fork completely, warning that he'll hurt himself and explaining it would make a bloody mess. Insisting he rest, she tucks him back into bed and turns off the lights. He reluctantly agrees, realizing hospital bills are too expensive to risk. Awkwardly, she offers him a case of energy drinks, which he tells her to leave on the table. Lying in the dark, a bewildered Guchan wonders what's going on. Suddenly, Kwon-jia bows deeply over his bed, shouting another apology, making him yelp in surprise. Tearfully, she explains that while the doctor said it's just a mild concussion, she's still terribly sorry. Tiredly, Guchan accepts her apology, reassuring her it's fine, thinking it's nothing compared to his usual work injuries. On YouTube, the incident has already gone viral, with clips reaching hundreds of thousands of views. Back in the hospital, Kwon-jia apologizes again while showing Guchan the videos on her phone. She admits she has no right to ask forgiveness, but vows to get all re-uploads taken down, promising to protect him from harm. She tells him he can click on the videos to see the content. Realizing he might not understand, she quickly clarifies it's not public TV, but just her personal channel. Relieved, Guchan tells her not to worry, dismissing it as just a few pictures, though she looks stressed, knowing it's far worse. She corrects him, explaining that over 3,000 people watched live, but he just jokes about being famous on TV. Kwon-jia is left speechless at his nonchalance. Guchan says he's fine and tells her to get off the cold floor, but she stays frozen. He hesitantly asks about the hospital bill, privately balking at the cost of the Ford drip. She cheerfully says she already paid, leaving him surprised. Guchan sighs, telling her he's going back to work tomorrow anyway. His heart pounds when he notices her shocked reaction. Kwon-jia insists he should rest and not push himself. She bows deeply again, promising to cover all his medical bills. Flustered, Guchan stammers out his thanks. He tells her not to worry about the photos, but Kwon-jia trails off nervously. When he insists he doesn't need anything else, she assumes he wants her to leave quickly. Deciding she's being silly, Kwon-jia packs up to go so he can rest. As his heart races, Guchan secretly thinks about how beautiful she is, struggling for words. Kwon-jia hesitates, clutching her phone before finally walking away. A confused Guchan watches from his bed. As he peeks from under his blanket, she quietly places a business card on his nightstand, telling him to contact her if he needs anything. With one final apology, she leaves him alone with his thoughts. Now alone, Guchan picks up the card and reads her name aloud. Kwon-jia. He stares at it, her name echoing in his mind. Lying back in bed, he murmurs it again, figuring he'll probably never see her. Suddenly, he grabs his face, overwhelmed by frustration. Panicking, he wonders why his thoughts betray him, questioning his own inner voice. He scolds himself for daydreaming about a girl, reminding himself of his responsibilities and how fast time is slipping by. With a resigned sigh, he lowers his hands, the blush still lingering on his cheeks. The narrator explains that Guchan, who was only focused on earning money, remained oblivious to the world changing around him. As he walks through the city, Kwon is suddenly overcome with rage, questioning whether the people around him have gone insane. He realizes a crowd is chasing him, calling him the victim from the YouTuber incident, and wonders why. The crowd swarms him, shouting his nickname Tukbake and praising his looks as he comes to understand the true influence of a YouTuber. Overwhelmed by endless photo requests, a stressed Guchan wonders what a tubble even is and why this is happening. Desperately, he flees on a moped, pleading with the chasing crowd to just leave him alone. The scene then shifts to the scaffolding of a construction site at dusk. Panting and wiping sweat from his brow, Guchan finally arrives at the site. Just as he sighs in relief, thinking he has escaped, a loud voice bellows his name, Kwon. His coworker, Kim Ong-chu, thrusts a phone in his face, demanding to know if the person in the viral video is him. Mr. Kim excitedly confirms, calling him Hyun-jong, the Tukbake guy, leaving Guchan utterly stunned. His coworker insists he knew it was him ever since hearing about the accident, pointing out Kwon's swollen eyes as proof. Mr. Kim exclaims he's now famous online, while Guchan, completely bewildered, can only ask what is happening. His coworker shows him the viral post filled with comments about his looks, and Guchan, baffled, wonders how Mr. Kim even found out. When his coworker reveals it was on the news, Guchan finally connects the dots. Tukbake refers to his busted skull. A familiar voice suddenly calls out, "Schnai," and Guchan freezes. Slowly turning, he thinks the voice sounds incredibly familiar. To his disbelief, he sees Kwon-jia approaching, calling him by his nickname, Cheney. Smiling warmly, Kwon-jia appears before him, carrying a massive fruit basket. She asks about his condition, leaving his stunned coworkers gawking. Surrounded by his fellow construction workers, Kwon watches her draw near, wondering what on earth is happening. His coworkers whisper about the young lady, revealing that Mr. Kim, the culprit behind the rumors, had spread the word. The old men swoon over Guchan's bride, excitedly gushing that Mr. Kim told them he was getting married soon. Flustered, Guchan wonders about the sudden talk of marriage and celebrity debuts, blaming it all on Mr. Kim's gossip. He stares at Kwon-jia, struggling to understand why she's even there. He wonders how someone like her could have gotten onto the site, while his coworkers daydream about themselves as tiny cheerleaders perched on his shoulders. They admire how much his Chinese bride resembles a celebrity, while Guchan remains silently stunned. Kwon-jia expresses her concern, telling him he shouldn't push himself by rushing straight to work. She presents the fruit basket, happily congratulating him on being discharged from the hospital. A blushing Guchan is taken aback when she adds that she thinks it's cool he works at a construction site. Her words make Kwon's heart pound inside his chest. As his tiny coworkers cheer that she called him cool, Kwon realizes he can no longer put any distance between them. Then, in a bold move, Kwon-jia puts on Kwon's hard hat. She adjusts it, her eyes shining with a mix of surprise and determination. Annoyed by the attention, Guchan insists they need to step outside first. Agreeing it's too dangerous, Kwon-jia grabs his arm and leads him away from the construction area. As Kwon drags her out, his coworkers cheer for the handsome couple, making him shout that she isn't his wife. Once outside, he apologizes for his mischievous coworkers, and she nervously agrees to ignore them. The scene shifts, showing the city skyline glowing at dusk. Kwon-jia thanks him for lending her the hard hat, but he replies that her safety is what matters most. Kwon hesitates, struggling to find the right words. He asks why she came, thinking their business had already ended yesterday, which leaves her speechless. After Guchan presses her again, a flustered Kwon-jia stammers, trying to explain, then suddenly bows, apologizing once more as she shows him her phone flooded with negative comments about the incident. She explains that since Cheney is trending, the public demands a quick and accurate response to the scandal. Kwon-jia admits that despite her apology post, public opinion remains in an uproar. As she explains the story is all over the news, Guchan wonders why it even matters if he, the victim, is fine. A stressed Kwon-jia nervously thanks him for being understanding. She trails off, unable to look at him, weighing her next words. Knowing how shameless it sounds, she nervously begins asking for a huge favor. A confused Guchan simply asks what she wants. Panicking inside, Kwon-jia wonders how she can possibly ask him to make a public statement. Kwon's face stays stern and unreadable. She lays out the burden, noting that he got hurt, missed work, and now has to waste time because of her. Bowing deeply, she vows to repay his kindness for the rest of her life. She passionately promises to repay him 100-fold so that he'll never regret helping her. Guchan listens silently to her desperate pledge. During a live broadcast, Kwon-jia introduces herself, followed by a reluctant Guchan, who introduces himself with his new online nickname. Abruptly declaring he's fine, Kwon makes Kwon-jia remind him he can stop bowing to the camera now. Sitting upright, she officially begins the broadcast, explaining she's live to address the issue. She announces that Guchan, the victim, has agreed to join her to personally clarify the situation. Guchan confirms he's fine, saying his injuries were minor and that he is fully recovered. He explains they already resolved everything that day and is confused about why the incident escalated, though he admits it was unusual. Reading the positive live comments, Kwon asks if the messages are really in real time. Feeling the atmosphere improve, he lets out a quiet sigh of relief, thinking the ordeal is finally ending. But suddenly, Kwon-jia leans against him, resting her head on his shoulder. Guchan freezes in surprise, unsure how to react to her sudden closeness. Nervous about her first ever YouTube live, Kwon-jia is too terrified to even glance at the chat. She worries about being criticized and dragging Kwon into further trouble. Shaking, she laments that she never wanted to become known through such a scandal. A hand gently covers hers, offering comfort. "Ah," Guchan says softly, noticing how nervous she is. He carefully holds her hand, trying to reassure her. Guchan explains that his mom used to calm his nerves by holding his wrist, so he hoped it might work for her as well. Confused by his own actions, Kwon wonders why he's suddenly acting this way. Then, with a moment of clarity, he feels he understands his impulse. Yet far from calm, A blushing Kwon-jia's heart races wildly, convinced his gesture is having the exact opposite effect. She panics inwardly, realizing that his touch only makes her even more nervous. Guchan notices his attempt didn't work, so he decides to let her calm down on her own. The scene shifts to a quiet city street at night as a car drives off. Inside, Kwon-jia drives silently while Guchan sits quietly beside her. Finally, she breaks the silence, prompting him to turn and ask what's on her mind. Kwon-jia admits that just asking for a statement was shameless and that his agreement alone would have been enough. She confesses her surprise that he suggested a live stream, knowing it would be a heavy burden for someone outside her industry. Guchan explains he thought showing people he was fine would work better than a written statement. He pauses, collecting his thoughts before going on. Internally, he admits her overwhelming guilt was a burden. A comical flashback shows her exaggeratedly begging him to kill her, and he concludes that he only wanted to settle things to avoid more problems. Glancing at him, Kwon-jia finds his simple, straightforward way of thinking fascinating. She muses that he seems to have no knowledge of, or interest in, her field at all. When Guchan lets out a huge yawn, she wonders if his relaxed nature is a kind of talent, though it still leaves her uneasy. Flustered, she tries to brush off the awkward ending of the live stream by asking if he thinks it wrapped up well. Continuing, she says the most surprising thing is her eyes suddenly widen in realization. Staring at the unsuspecting Guchan, she wonders if this whole situation could actually be an opportunity for her. Guchan then asks to be dropped off, and a flustered Kwon-jia agrees to pull over. After parking, both step out of the car and stand in front of a building. Kwon-jia confirms that the malicious comments have disappeared, and Guchan gratefully explains that public opinion has died down thanks to her. He adds that their explanation broadcast has already begun circulating online. A chibi Guchan appears, looking confused as a positive online comment pops into a thought bubble. Suddenly mortified, Kwon-jia covers her blushing face, whispering, "Oh my god." Guchan, confused by her sudden reaction, assumes she must be cold since her clothes are thin. Believing that's the case, he suggests they head inside while she still stands flustered. On the street, Kwon-jia calls out his nickname, Chani. Looking at him earnestly, she confesses she's truly relieved that he seems fine. She clarifies that while the statement was part of it, it wasn't the only reason she came. She admits her real desire to check on him was much stronger, leaving Guchan blushing and panicked as he wonders if he's only hearing what he wants. Trailing off, she glances at the building. A beet-red Guchan tells her he's glad, and a shy Kwon-jia thanks him. An awkward silence lingers between them. Guchan finally says he's heading inside to escape the cold, leading to a flurry of awkward goodbyes. With one last glance back, he turns and walks up the stairs to his building. Climbing the steps, he reflects on his hectic day full of filming. He thinks it was lucky his schedule got adjusted, sarcastically crediting his silly coworkers. When his phone vibrates, he wonders if he might have caused her more trouble. Seeing who's calling, he frowns, questioning why his mother would call so late before answering. The scene cuts back to Kwon-jia's car parked on the street. Exhausted, she leans against the steering wheel, sighing that she doesn't even know how the day slipped away. She worries she might have overdone things, fretting that she should have offered her contact info again, assuming he tossed the first one aside. Frustrated, she yells internally, wondering why it bothers her so much, telling herself to snap out of it. Suddenly, a figure's legs appear beside her car. She looks up, confused only for a man to collapse onto her hood. Another man rushes up, desperately pounding on her window. Through tears, he begs for her help, crying that his brother has collapsed. An ambulance races toward the glowing red emergency center sign. At the reception desk, a frantic Guchan demands to know what's happening. Behind him, a shocked Kwon-jia watches, her voice trembling as she calls his name. Guchan turns slightly, his face drenched in sweat, his expression grim. Kwon-jia gently places her hand over his on the counter, offering quiet support. With genuine concern, Kwon-jia tries to comfort him, telling him not to worry. He remains grave and silent as her hand covers his. A voice calls out, "Hyun." The scene cuts to Hyun, Guchan's twin sister, sitting in a hospital bed with her arm in a sling. An exhausted, panicked Guchan looms over her bed. A flashback shows a group of young, silver-haired boys frantically fussing over their sister, asking what happened, if she was okay. Overwhelmed, the young Hyun asks where their mom and his aunt are and why someone named Puna collapsed too. As the boys worry about a possible head injury, Hanin thinks to herself that everything is happening at once. Back in the present, a tense Guchan grabs his sister's face, demanding answers. He stares at her with a grim, worried look, sweat beading on his temple. Squishing her cheeks, he demands to know what happened, and she stammers out the truth. The scene flashes back to a playground outside a large apartment building. A young Hain falls while playing, other children crying out for help. The narration explains she simply fell and broke her arm at the playground. Lying on the ground, she winces in pain, thinking of how badly it hurts. But more than the pain, she worried about the hospital bill, holding it in until she collapsed. Crying now, she apologizes to her brother for the cost. Guchan holds his crying sister, his expression softening as he listens to her apology. Gently, he calls her name, Hina. Pulling back to look at her, Guchan reassures her that he has plenty of money and that his absence was only because of work, not finances. When she asks if it's okay to stay in the hospital, he insists she can stay as long as needed. Wiping her tears, he tells her to always tell him or their mom right away if she's ever sick or hurt again. She tearfully nods. Apologizing once more, she's met with his reassuring smile as he tells her there's no need. Quietly, Guchan steps out of the hospital room. Leaning against the hallway wall, he lets out a long, weary sigh. Relieved that his sister is safe, Guchan slumps to the floor outside her room, completely drained. As he sits exhausted on the floor, Kwon-jia suddenly appears, startling him when she realizes she's found him. Kwon-jia apologetically explains that she was only checking on his sister, while Guchan internally panics over the embarrassing situation. Springing to his feet in a fluster, Kwon hurriedly tells her that his sister is doing fine. Startled by his abrupt movement, Kwon-jia lets out a small "ah." Guchan turns slightly away, his expression unreadable as he wonders what to do. Nervously, Kwon-jia holds out a piece of paper for him to see. His eyes widen in shock as he stares at the document. Stunned, he reads the hospital bill of 1.8 million, thinking the cost for just 3 nights is insane. In his head, he rehearses saying that she doesn't need to pay, that he'll handle it himself. Looking at the bill with sweat on his face, he admits to himself that this is exactly what he planned to say. Still processing the enormous amount, he glances up from the bill. Kwon-jia now stands before him, offering 2 cups of coffee. She insists she feels guilty and must take responsibility for his sister as well, but he quickly tries to dismiss her guilt. She explains that the high bill was because a single room was the only option, yet he still looks troubled. She presses on, saying she has to take responsibility since he missed 2 days of work because of her, a point that makes him realize how much of a financial hit it really is. He lowers his gaze to the coffee she's offering. Kindly, Kwon-jia tells him to drink something warm and take care after such a stressful day. They talk things through. He confirms that his sister's pneumonia isn't serious and that her fracture is just a common childhood injury. Looking genuinely relieved, Kwon-jia says she's so glad it wasn't anything worse. A chibi Kwon-jia beams as Guchan agrees, also relieved, though still holding the bill and coffee in his hands. Wania asks if he's heading out, offering to walk him. Just then, Guchan's younger twin brother Chan appears with a band-aid on his cheek. Both Guchan and Kwon-jia freeze as the younger brother stares at them. Suddenly, Chan bursts out with excitement, shouting that his brother has a girlfriend, while a flustered Guchan vehemently denies it. But Chan keeps teasing, yelling that Guchan is getting married now, leaving their sister Hain, watching from her room, completely confused. When Chan asks if his brother really has a girlfriend, a smitten Haynes stares with heart-shaped lips. Her eyes then widen in recognition, as a star-struck thought bubble reveals she knows who Kwon-jia is. Flustered, Kwon-jia greets them, while Chan shouts her name in awe and Gu-chan hides, horrified, from behind her. Once Kwon-jia confirms her identity, Han looks amazed, while Gu-chan internally panics, wondering if this is some kind of hidden camera show, realizing even his sister knows her. Hae-shin directly asks Kwon-jia if she's really his brother's girlfriend. Caught off guard, a blushing Kwon-jia stammers, unsure how to reply. Gu-chan, red-faced, is at a total loss for words. From inside the hospital room, a child's voice calls out, shouting that sister is the best. Hain begs Kwon-jia to visit again, while Gu-chan offers to let her talk to someone named Biker next time. Back inside, Gu-chan explains to his amazed siblings that he and Kwon-jia had filmed together a long time ago. Chan celebrates, thrilled at the thought of meeting Biker Bro, while Hain confides in Kwon-jia about her kindergarten crush. Han declares his undying respect for Kwon-jia, who thanks him warmly, while Gu-chan watches with a faint, amused smirk. The three of them quickly grow close, as Kwon-jia promises she'll listen to Hain's confession story once she starts elementary school. After some time, a tired Chan falls asleep on the bed, while Hain rests peacefully with her bunny. Kwon softly sighs his brother's name as he gently covers Chan with a blanket, then carefully tucks in his sleeping sister. Gu-chan stands watch over his siblings as they sleep. Kwon-jia sits quietly, observing the peaceful scene. Gu-chan glances at a calendar on the wall, lost in a moment of quiet reflection. A heavy silence settles between him and Kwon-jia in the dimly lit hospital room. Gu-chan remains seated, thoughtful, with sweat rolling down his face as he thinks about the long day. He suggests she head home, but she insists she's fine and will wait for their mom. Their mom, shaken, went home to grab clothes, and she told her to rest first. Gu-chan apologizes for the shabby room, but Kwon-jia reassures him it's perfectly warm. With sincere gratitude, she thanks him for everything. Kwon apologizes again, saying he burdened her with the hospital trip, the costs, and stealing her time when he had only asked for a ride. He also thanks her for playing with the kids, adding that his sister Hain, being such a big fan, was incredibly happy. Looking at her seriously, he vows that he'll repay the favor no matter what. Kwon-jia offers her own help in return for any future trouble, whether connected to their past incident or not. Leaning closer, she tells him there's something she wants to ask, piquing Gu-chan's curiosity. With determined eyes, Kwon-jia prepares herself, then boldly asks if he would do a couple's YouTube channel with her. Stunned, he reels in shock as she leans closer, clarifying that it would be just like today and nothing to overthink. Looking down at him nervously, Kwon-jia asks if his answer is no. Pinned to the couch, Gu-chan bluntly rejects her offer, saying he doesn't want to. Her shocked mind echoes with his refusal. Kwon adds that the reason should be obvious. He glances toward his sleeping siblings, telling her she's already seeing why. He gestures toward the children, making it clear they are his priority. Touching his chin thoughtfully, Gu-chan explains further. He says he simply can't take on such an unstable job. Kwon-jia correctly guesses that by unstable he means the income, and he confirms it. Then, in a bold move, Kwon-jia offers him a 10-0 profit split. She clarifies that he would get the 10, leaving Gu-chan completely stunned and silent. Sweetening the deal, she promises that generous split will apply to all their channel's videos. She lays out her conditions: 1 filming session a week, full creative control for him, and she'll handle the rest. Gu-chan listens carefully as she swears she'll never break her word. Though it almost seems he's convinced, Kwon once again refuses, insisting he wasn't tempted at all. Confused, Kwon-jia asks why not. He explains that it isn't about money, leaving her to wonder what his true reason might be. With a weary smile, Gu-chan finally reveals his condition. The channel has to earn at least as much as his delivery job. Kwon-jia sits quietly, her back facing the viewer, listening as he voices his concerns. Sweat runs down his tired face as he looks at her, his responsibilities weighing heavily. Suddenly, Kwon-jia stands, her face shadowed, and firmly tells him to stand up, leaving him to wonder what she's about to do. She shows her phone, revealing a savings account balance of over 652 million. Guchan's eyes widen in disbelief as she explains that this is just her YouTube income from last year, not even counting other sponsorships. Stunned, he struggles to process the enormous figure, realizing it's in the hundreds of millions and would take endless days of hard labor to earn. Even with the proof before him, he argues that the industry is unstable, warning that many dreamers ultimately fail. He continues, explaining that success can be fleeting, with luck being one of the most crucial factors in the competitive content creation world. Kwon-jia passionately appeals to him, insisting she truly is lucky, even if she's been in a small slump recently. Leaning in closer, she reminds him of the public's wild reaction to the two of them together, while he considers the massive potential income from a 10-0 split. Sparkling with determination, she asks if he isn't at least a little curious about what their combined chemistry and luck could bring. Grabbing his hand, she insists they could grow even bigger together, and he begins to think this might actually be an amazing opportunity. Clasping her hand, she passionately pitches their potential, whispering to herself that this chance is meant for both of them. A flustered Guchan, drawn in chibi style and surrounded by owls, is left utterly bewildered by her intense proposal. After a brief moment of shock, Kwon eagerly accepts, formally introducing himself along with his desire to make money, and they shake on the deal. The scene shifts to a new location, a tiny, rundown room with a cracked window patched by tape. Lying shirtless in bed, Guchan is surprised at how quickly Kwon-jia sent over the draft contract. He scrolls through the exclusive joint channel agreement on his phone, musing that life is good if deals can be signed right from bed. But his relaxed expression fades into a serious, contemplative look as he reviews the details. Resting his phone against his lips, he decides to go through the terms one more time. The more he reads, the more it feels like a reverse slave contract that's simply too good to be true. He questions how he could possibly make such money from just a few videos, concluding that it would all come from her fame. Slamming his phone onto the bed in frustration, he yells, wondering why she would even offer him such a generous deal. The view widens to show his tiny room, number 3003, as a neighbor from 3004 shouts at him to quiet down. Kwon yells back, while another unseen resident complains about the psycho in 3004. A fist bangs against the wall as yet another neighbor demands silence. Enraged, Guchan sits up, revealing a shockingly muscular physique as he furiously yells back, then slumps onto his bed in the cramped gashawon. He laments that while he can tolerate the bad facilities, the awful neighbors are unbearable. Admitting that the cheap rent has its reasons, he resigns himself to the situation before refocusing on the contract. Sitting up, he calmly reviews the time commitments for meetings and live streams, finding them reasonable. Leaping to his feet, he suddenly feels energized when realizing the deal includes a new place to live. Ecstatic, he accepts his good fortune. On the phone with Kwon-jia, Kwon confirms his name and asks about the room and board included in the contract. The scene transitions to a modern apartment building with a beautiful rooftop garden. Dressed in a new outfit, a tense Kwon waits as a voice calls his name. Kwon-jia opens the door to a luxurious apartment, smiling warmly as she welcomes him in. Her knowing smile makes him blush furiously. Completely flustered, Kwon stands frozen at the doorway, literally encased in a block of ice from shock, as she gestures for him to step inside. A close-up of his face shows his inner resolve. There's no way he's going back to that old, cheap room. Still, he panics at the recklessness of two young people living together. While a puzzled Kwon-jia watches, he tries to rationalize that it's just business, though inside he screams that, even if she's fine with it, he definitely isn't. Covering his blushing face, He admits to himself that though she's a colleague and this is for work, he truly does like her. His mind spirals with insecurities, being poor, a dropout, and with family to support, concluding he can't possibly take responsibility for her. He snaps out of it with a sharp glare, scoffing at his own frantic thoughts. His imagination runs wild, picturing a nightmare where they have a child and he becomes a pathetic provider, just like his deadbeat dad. Listing everything he lacks, he admits he isn't ready for that responsibility. Meanwhile, Kwon-jia, watching him quietly, brushes her hair back as sweat runs down his temple. Guchan stares ahead, his face full of stunned decision. She takes his hand, gazing up at him, as the air between them grows heavy. His cheeks flush red as he lets out a flustered A confused Kwon-jia leans closer, pressing him to explain. Suddenly, he changes his mind, telling her to forget the lodging offer. She is completely shocked, asking why. Panicked, she wonders if her offer was a burden, lamenting that she had just cleaned the place for him. In chibi style, she sulks in disappointment, while a bandaged Guchan silently curses himself for the mess. The scene cuts back to his gashawan, where the landlady looks up in surprise. She questions his return, while Guchan dejectedly asks for his old room back. Clicking her tongue in annoyance, she hands it over, and he trudges down the dingy hallway in frustration. Back in his cramped room, he resigns himself to the harsh reality. Opening the filthy shared fridge, he discovers the triangle kimbap he'd been saving has been stolen. Slamming the door shut, he fumes over the loss of his meal. After a long day's work, he stubbornly tells himself nope. Still misunderstanding the offer as romantic cohabitation, he insists it isn't worth the risk. Lying in bed, he mutters that he's used to skipping meals anyway. But in the silence of his tiny, barren room, the grim truth sinks in. Despite his stubbornness, he admits to himself that he really is hungry. His thoughts drift to his siblings, Hyen and Chin, hoping their mother bought them something good to eat. Rolling onto his side, he sinks deeper into worry and reflection. He wonders if he can truly handle running a YouTube channel, a world he hardly even knows exists. Too cold, hungry, and exhausted to think clearly, he chooses to rely on his skilled partner and hopes it will lead to great success. A quiet moment follows as he lies on his side, his expression still uneasy. He dreams of earning enough money to give his siblings the same opportunities other children have: sports, music lessons, and more. A soft smile appears on his face, imagining that Han would probably lean towards sports rather than instruments. Suddenly, a wild, manic cackle from the next room cuts through the silence. Furious, he shouts at the lunatic in room 302, who mocks him back while mentioning another resident in room 304. Screaming in frustration, Kwon realizes the noise is actually coming from his other neighbor, who smirks while plotting revenge. The scene then shifts to a radiant Kwon-jia, clapping her hands together with a cheerful hui. She warmly welcomes him, while a blushing, muscular Guchan shyly agrees that they should work well together. After they finally come to terms with the cohabitation arrangement, an awkward Guchan realizes he misunderstood. It's only an office. Mortified by his overreaction, he cringes inwardly. Standing over him, Kwon-jia begins explaining the basics of their new work setup. His minimalist belongings are laid out, and he internally scoffs at the word minimalist. Finding it an odd notion, he turns to formally thank her for giving him a place to stay. He remarks on how impressive the space is, thinking it's far too nice to be called just an office. Looking up toward the loft, he admits he's overwhelmed by how beautiful her place is. She waves off his thanks, insisting she should be the one expressing gratitude for his use of the space. Moving toward the kitchen, she suggests doing something to commemorate the moment, leaving him curious. She soon returns with 2 cans of beer, her bright smile warm and inviting. Taking one from her, his expression hardens, eyes narrowing as he studies the can and identifies its contents. Alcoholia looks startled by his sudden change of mood. She asks if he dislikes drinking, explaining she assumed he enjoyed it, like most people his age. Looking down regretfully, she believes it was her mistake. Fretting that she has troubled him again, she apologizes, catching a bewildered Guchan off guard. He sees her worried face and softly lets out an ah. A painful memory of him getting sick from alcohol flashes in her mind as she nervously clutches the drinks. Reaching out, Guchan calmly tells her to simply hand him the can. He reassures her that it's fine as he takes the drink, trying to ease her worries. She watches him with concern, still holding her own can tightly. Ignoring her anxiety, he firmly pops his can open with a crisp chuck. Convincing himself that just a little won't hurt, he takes a sip. The room spins into a dizzying haze, time slipping away before he realizes it. When he awakens, he finds himself holding an unconscious Kwon-jia, panic flooding him at the thought that something intimate may have happened between them. Two of them started discussing among themselves the previous night while they were drunk. One of them spoke, "I'm telling you, it's true," while the other person denied no way seriously. People were like, "Wow, it's that handsome guy." So followed them, and it turned out to be where you work. Haha, and I totally ditched them all, remember that? Kwon-jia spoke, "Ugh, I'm so unfairly accused, and if it wasn't that, how else would I know where that place was? People are so prejudiced." Guchan said, "Yeah, you're right. That makes sense, haha. Now that I think about it, the way you swing a bat and the way you run must be really athletic." Poking her nose with his hands, he comments, "I'd better not mess with you." She, in a dazed state, looked at him as he spoke. Suddenly, grabbing his hands, she asked, Guchan, why are your hands so dry?" Looking closer, she asked again, "Is it because of your job?" She mentioned they're all cracked. Maybe it's worse lately because the air's dry. Guchan's ears reddened in blush as he saw her closeness towards him. As he was thinking all of that, she added, "And you've got so many calluses on your hands. Doesn't it hurt?" Making that cute face, she questioned, "Why aren't you saying anything?" Guchan thinks to himself, "Because you're so pretty," but he didn't say that to her. Instead, he stammered because of the situation. He answered, "You see, it's my first time having a woman touch me, so it's kind of fascinating for me." Not getting the full meaning of his speech, she asked what's so fascinating. Touching her gentle fingers, he told her, "Your fingers. Your fingers are really soft." Man, you can already anticipate that the moment in between was getting tense. Guchan grabbed her hand and started murmuring Hain and Haechan's hands like this, too. "Soft, smooth like a little fiddlehead fern? But yours are way bigger than theirs, so it feels strange." She shyly mentioned, "Ah, stop, that tickles. This feels weird." Suddenly looking at her while smiling, he commented, "You're cute." As she praised her beauty and cuteness, she blushed deeply. Laying her face into his chest, she spoke, "Ah, you're seriously saying that?" "I dunno, I'm just gonna sleep. I'm too drunk." And that's what happened the previous night. Guchan explained, "Man, thank you. If I drank any more, I thought I was gonna die." Kwon-jia spoke, "Geez, you should have told me to stop drinking." She adds that a real man of the house has to endure any hardship or challenge. Guchan, laughing, asked, "What does even that mean?" And in that intertwined state, two of them fell into a sleep. Guchan, washing his face in order to freshen up, thinks to himself, "I guess I got totally wasted and just fell asleep like that. Still, why the hell did I crawl into bed with her? I'm getting crazy just thinking about that." Looking at his reflection in the mirror, he thinks, "Man, alcohol, it's just scary." As Guchan was pondering about the situation of last night, suddenly Kwon-jia entered the room, opening the door. She flusteredly greets him, "Good morning." And guess what? She got the empty bottle of alcohol in her hands. She stared, asking Guchan, "Did you sleep well? Did we with each other?" "I mean, I was going to clean up and head to work. I already changed most of it up." And with that, she zooms past Guchan like a storm in order to avoid talking with him and obviously to hide her blush. Ji-chan, expressing his sorry, explained, "Then I'm really sorry, but can I head to work first?" Kwon-jia understandably replied, "Yes, of course you can go now, and I'll finish cleaning up when I can." Man, I don't know what she intends to clean when everything is sparkling like the sun. Guchan starts to get ready for his show before leaving for work, when at that moment, Kwon-jia calls him from the back. "Huh, Guchan," he replies, "Yes, what is it? Did something happen?" She peeks out from the doorway while saying, "Oh no, nothing like that. I just wanted to say, be careful and have a good day." Man, I understand her situation. Almost all of us find ourselves in moments like this when we want to express our thoughts, but at that time, it feels like something invisible is holding us back. Guchan, be a gentleman, thanks her and says, "You too, take it easy before you go." Kwon-jia, squinting her eyes, starts pondering what that was. I was trying to be cute, but he didn't care at all. And again, why does he act like nothing happened? And I'm pretty sure I fell asleep cuddling him last night. Thinking back, she asks herself, or did I? Was it all just a dream? Am I just imagining it? Correcting her thoughts, Kwon-jia came to the final conclusion. No, I'm sure of it. Something happened last night. Coming back to Guchan, he sits outside the door and was showing the sign of being pretty flustered from Kwon-jia's cute gestures towards him. He told himself, "Ugh, this is so embarrassing. Now I feel like I'm the only one all flustered here." To be accepted, he was love-struck. His heartbeat was getting out of control. He thought, I can't hear it all the way to her house, right? You can have a brief idea if you think like this, because for Guchan, it was the first time someone saw him off to work. Hence, that's why he feels like that. Again, Guchan kept saying to himself, man, why does this feel kinda like we're newlyweds or something? Boy oh boy, and for a love-struck guy, he seemed pretty happy about it. Well, as if all that surprise wasn't enough for him, 'cause when he got to his workplace, his coworkers started his celebrating a party by congratulating him on his retirement. And of course they did it with a grand party cake and banner. His boss, holding a cake, told him, "Don't you forget us forever." Well, that was a great wish when you say someone to not forget you forever. I don't know about you, but I am finding double meaning in his wish. Anyway, Guchan, angry, seeing their thoughts, retorted, what's with the nonsense? Retirement? There's no such thing as retirement in our line of work. We have so much to do today, so let's just start. The boss and coworkers spoke, so you're saying our Guchan is gonna keep working? MC, being the stubborn guy he is, retorted, ugh, forgot it. Retirement, my foot. Guess I will die working here forever. One of the workers exclaimed, ugh, we bought the cake for nothing. Let's all get back to work. The annoying guy going over here and there exclaimed, I guess Mr. Kim got it wrong. But hey, Guchan, aren't you starting YouTube now? I could tell just from the reaction. Perfect opportunity, this is for you. He adds that the lady didn't ask you to join her, or did you just say no to her proposal? Buzzing like a fly, he asked MC, did you really turn her down? And if that's true, then why? Why? No way, that can't be. Seriously. Coming closer, he shouted towards MC, Guchan bastard. Say something, will you? MC, being the Chad guy he is, straight ignored him, making him curse Guhan over and over again. MC, looking back, replied, fine, I'll give it to you. I surrender to you. The guy retorted, you stingy brat. You love free stuff this much already. You'll go bald later. MC, making a sharp jab of his own, spoke, okay, I get it. Let's just go. You should worry about your own hair first, Uncle LOL. The guy, angry, hearing his retort, exclaimed, what did you say about my hair? Brat, you're crossing the line. Calling his angry state, MC tossed a cigarette in front of his face and explained, I agreed to do it, that YouTube thing or whatever. Lighting it in front of him, MC asked, but what's the big deal, Uncle LOL? You already guessed it, but you're so surprised. The uncle mentioned, wouldn't it be exciting to have a YouTuber around? Kid, you hit the jackpot. In the first place. Do you know even how much big YouTubers like that lady make? MC answered, yeah, I heard. That's why I impulsively said yes, but just because others make that much doesn't mean I will too. He also mentioned that only talented people succeed in that place of work. It's not easy. Trying to get into the YouTube business, Guchan said I'll work hard, but I'm not expecting much. It's just a side job. The uncle, cheering him, said, no, I'm telling you, you and that lady together will blow up. I can feel it. After she streamed with you once, her subscribers went over 700,000. Gu, in a nonchalant manner, questioned, and what does blow up even mean, lol? Man, I guess his name is really LOL. I thought MC was joking with him, but no, the guy took the name, LOL, from his parents. Uncle explains again, idiot. I mean to say that blowing up means huge success. Anyway, Guchan, congratulations on the new start, punk. With the congratulations, he gives MC a new phone as a gift. Man, I thought this guy was a lich or a fly, but he turned out to be caring. Guchan, looking at his unexpected gift, exclaimed, what? Why are you giving me this? And besides, phones are expensive, I don't need one. Mine's still fine, it can last 10 more years. Uncle, when he saw MC was trying to refuse his gift, he got angry. He retorted, hey you. Do you know you are the only one in your age with a phone like that? Look, early adopter Mr. Kim Kyung-chul's latest phone is even 10 times better than yours. Guchan, being him, asked, wow, really? What's wrong with mine? It works fine. I think you just want to brag. The uncle, giving his comments no thought, starts magically presenting the new phone. Commented, look at my phone, yours is cooler than mine. MC, seeing his new phone and uncle's phone, exclaimed in surprise, wow, seriously lol. And after seeing his new phone in his hands, he comments that's the kind of phone all young people use these days. And now it's time for you to keep up, man. MC in the point thanks the man for his generosity. The great uncle, putting his hands in the back of MC, said, what? I'm just happy for you, man. He also praised Guchan, you've made it, my boy. Guchan told his uncle, I haven't even started yet, I might fail, you know. He adds, and even if I do it, I'm not quitting my job. So, let's stop saying goodbye like it's the end, okay? Uncle LOL nodded in affirmation, all right, man. But to speak the truth one way or another, in the end, Mr. Kim's pumping him up plan was very successful. As you can clearly see, Guchan was infatuated with his new device. At the moment, he was looking at something on his phone. Suddenly, he exclaimed, whoa, that's crazy. Damn. I can't believe something like this actually happened. Wait, that's a 7-year-old exam? My siblings are already 8. Is this the only way to get into a good college? I'm screwed. Man, not gonna lie, the first time getting a good device has a potent effect on all of us. Guchan, even while walking home, was stuck to his phone like glue. He shouted again, oh, this piece is easier than I thought. I should send it to Mom. But how do I send it? There's a share button. Closing the door, he remembers now that, I think about it, Kwon-jia, I should watch her videos too. He makes a mental note by saying, I mean, since we're working together, it'd be good to know her style beforehand, right? Undressing from his work clothes, he thinks, first I'll finish what I'm watching now, then I'll search. Man, there are so many fun videos. Then if I search Kwon-jia, it should come up, right? As he was thinking about Kwon-jia, a beautiful girl started calling Kwon-jia, Kwon-jia, where are you, Kwon-jia? Why haven't you answered me since yesterday? And unknowingly, she pushed open the door, and in the process, witnessed Guchan getting undressed. And boy oh boy, 2 of them were shocked seeing each other in such an unexpected situation. For a long moment, they looked at each other with big eyes. In the end, a common question escapes from her mouth, man, who are you? After that situation, the question arises, this woman who just barged into someone else's house, who could she be? Well, for your knowledge, her name is Goerin. If you should know some more important details about her, because she is Kwon-jia's best friend, as well as her YouTuber manager and editor. Tucking her hair behind her head, she asked for forgiveness. I'm really sorry, I wasn't told you'd be here, so I had no idea. Guchan, being an understanding person, made the situation easy for her. No, it's fine, that happens. Guchan, coming back to her, asked, The situation is weird. Kwon-jia, she's not usually the type to ignore calls, but since last night, she hasn't been picking up much. Do you know if something happened? Go-erin spoke. Well, I don't really, I see. Again, that sounds like a lie. But you're Tukbeak, right? Yes, and you are? Oh, I'm Go-erin, Jia's NeoTube editor. So, being her editor, can you please tell me if where Kwon-jia is? She is on her way, right? Go-erin replied, oh yes, she should be here any minute. Guchan mentioned then, would it be okay if I take care of some work while I wait, because I just got a call? She hissed, replied in the affirmative, yes, of course. Leaving Guchan also mentioned, please make yourself comfortable. And again, that's not my house. As Guchan started to leave the place while talking with his mother, Go-erin kept looking at him intently. In her thoughts, she started thinking about Guchan's masculine and handsome build. While those thoughts were in her mind, her face became red with a deep blush. Getting out of that thought, she started waving her hand while exclaiming, forget it. Just forget it. Guchan looked a little puzzled, witnessing her frenetic state. After arriving at their place, Kwon-jia starts to make a crying face, making Guchan confused and surprised. Kwon-jia, with a sorrowful face, stands in front of Guchan. She explained, I'm so sorry. I should have told Aaron in advance, but I was so out of it. She added, I said you could use this place as your lodging, and it's my mistake for causing this mess. You must be exhausted from working all day. Guchan, seeing her state, grabbed her hands while kneeling. He relayed, it's fine. Anyone can make a mistake. I also said I wasn't going to live here, then suddenly moved in. It's only been a day, of course. Things aren't settled yet. Not again. Your editor already apologized plenty. Speaking the truth, really, I'm fine too, so you don't have to keep apologizing. Kwon-jia let a deep breath in relief when Guchan comforted her for her guilt. Guchan, at that moment, asked, can you answer me when I call? Kwon-jia nodded in affirmation. He gently grabbed her hands and said, good. Then that's the end of the apologizing. Okay. As they were recanceling, Go-erin looked from the side in a OWA state. After all that drama, the three returned to the main topic. They finally got down to business. Go-erin, confirming their decision, asked Kwon-jia, so, what are you saying? You want Mr. Guchan to be the official channel owner, right? She nodded yes, I think that would be better. Making her point, she added, since the revenue split is 10 o'clock anyway, it'll make the accounting much cleaner. Go-erin said, well, that's your choice. How do you split the money? Guchan, at that time, disrupting their conversation, told them, guys, about that split, I really think it'd be better if we made it 6:4. I take 4 and you take the rest. He explained his reason. I'm only filming once a week, and I'm not doing the rest of the work, so it doesn't make sense for me to take such a big cut. And even if the channel does succeed, it won't be because of me. It'll be thanks to the popularity you already have. So, me taking more doesn't make sense. Honestly, even 6:4 is generous. I'd be fine with 8:2 or even 9:1. Ji-erin, hearing his proposal, asked them, so what do you want to do? After she spoke, they came to the decision on making the split to 7:1. And with that, Kwon-jia signed and filed the form for their further cooperation. Guchan, being simple-minded, thinks so. You're not backing down on the split. Well, it benefits me, but still, this feels a lot, man. To be honest, Guchan kinda sucks in negotiation. Okay, coming back to him, he procrastinates. I guess I should just be grateful she confirmed at 7:3. Go-erin, pushing the laptop towards MC, told him, Guchan, the contract's settled. Now, this next part is the most important. She asked the question of the year, what should we name the channel? Since Jia already has an established image, maybe we should keep some kind of consistency. Or maybe we should flip it around and make it a quirky concept instead. She adds her idea in the discussion. How about Tukbul's favorite? Really leaning into the trending topic. Or Dream Get Changjia. What do you think? It has that buddy vibe, or maybe like Jia's Prince Chandam. And with that, she mentioned many other names, wanting to conform to his take on the most suitable name. Ha Chan Thao's name sounds good, right? Guchan is making a face like he has constipation, retorts that the name sucks, gives his idea, speaks. What about just Guchanjia? Simple, straight to the point. Or Jia Guchan, whichever order you prefer. Goari, thinking about his idea, mentioned, oh, Guchanjia is nice. You've got a good sense for this. Girl, to be honest, his sense is not that legendary, but yours is totally trash. I think you should see a doctor to fix your sense. Anyway, confirming his idea, she types the name Guchanjia as their channel name. Guchan and Kwon-jia looked enthusiastically at the newly changed name. Kwon-jia, looking at Guchan, told him this is the real beginning now. So let's do well, both of us. Guchan, scratching his face in nervousness, spoke, yeah, I'll be counting on you. And please teach me a lot. I need to know. I'm clumsy, but I'll learn with my full attention. I'll work hard too. As they were talking with each other, on the other hand, Go-erin was doing random setup and configuration in production. Suddenly, Guchan, coming close to Kwon-jia's face, asked, hey, by the way, isn't your channel name just Kwon-jia? Kwon-jia stammering as in red, huh, yes? While answering, she started blushing and kept thinking, whoa, so close. She spoke again. Yeah, my channel name is just my own name, but why are you asking this? Guchan, looking the other way, said no reason, just feels like that was the right call, lol. Kwon-jia playfully questioned him, wait Guchan, are you teasing me right now? Guchan denied her assumption, nope, you're not, right? I'm not teasing, lol. She exclaimed, no, you totally are now. He asked her, was my teasing that bad? She, seeing her turn, spoke, no, it was really good, lol. I was just kidding. Redirecting the subject, he mentioned, anyway, looks like we need a profile photo, so let's take one. She fumed and told him to look at you, changing the subject, seriously. Seeing her sullen state, he started laughing in mischief. As they were playfully teasing each other, Go-erin kept looking at them. Suddenly breaking the silence, she asked them, so about you too. Seeing her silent, both of them looked at her in a puzzled state. She again spoke while being shy and blushes as, I was just asking, something like this feels a bit embarrassing, but since you'll be working together, I figured I should at least know. Gu and Jia, not knowing what Erin wanted to know, just looked at her in a surprised face. Erin again expressed her thoughts, saying honestly, I thought something about you two seemed suspicious. SHW looking at them, mentioning you don't even hesitate with skinship? Kwon-jia inwardly panicked, saying this selfie. I didn't even realize I leaned into his arms. Go-erin, making her point, told them it just all feels way too natural, you know what I mean to say? Guchan, feeling panicked inside, thought, but it didn't feel bad. So I just did this? He adds, Jia usually picks up my calls, but since last night, she stopped replying. Go-erin, again taking the talking part, spoke when I came to Jia's house. He was almost stark naked, and then out of nowhere, the two of you suddenly say you're doing a couple channel together? So, given all those circumstances, I can't help but think that as of last night, you two are already in that kind of relationship, you know? The kind where things have gone all the way. And with her bold assumption, she turned red due to a deep blush. The story shifts to an exterior view of the large, modern Khan University Hospital. Standing just outside the hospital, Jia exclaims in confusion, clearly surprised. Guan admits he was caught off guard, since the thought of her bringing him to a hospital never once crossed his mind. Nervously, Jia explains that she thought it would be funny if their first video addressed the fact that he got hurt because of her. Blushing, Guchan confesses that he originally believed they were going on a date, but now realizes she's making it clear they're not a couple. After their hospital visit, Jia thanks Guchan and invites him to a restaurant she already booked, which he gladly agrees to. Walking with her arm linked in his, Guchan asks if she's cold, but she nervously declines his jacket, insisting her heat-tech clothing is enough. In front of a cozy tea room, Jia excitedly raises her phone on a selfie stick, asking Guchan to watch something with her. Together, they watch a clip from their doctor's visit where he had just been discharged, leaving Guchan looking surprised. He admits that it feels awkward seeing himself on video, and Jia reassures him that she felt the same way at first. As Jia is speaking, a woman with long pink nails suddenly grabs her arm, cutting her off. A blonde woman in a pink jacket enthusiastically asks if she's Jia the YouTuber. Caught off guard by the fan, Jia lets out a soft, surprised ah. The fan continues holding tightly onto Jia's arm. Guchan looks on with a protective glare, questioning why a supposed fan would treat her so rudely. Stepping forward, Guchan glares protectively over Jia's shoulder. The fan gushes about how pretty Jia is and requests a picture, which Jia politely agrees to. After the fan thanks her and leaves, Guchan watches with a stoic expression while Jia offers a polite goodbye. Walking away, the fan excitedly tells someone on the phone that she just met the gorgeous Kwon-jia and even got a picture with her. Guchan apologizes for interfering with the fan, making Jia look at him in confusion, unsure why he's sorry for trying to help. Quickly changing the subject, Jia cheerfully announces that she's starving and insists they hurry to their reservation. Playfully, she threatens to leave him behind if he doesn't keep up, while Guchan watches her go. Realizing she doesn't want to dwell on the fan incident, Guchan simply watches as she resumes vlogging, flashing a peace sign at the camera. The scene transitions into a stylish, upscale restaurant. While being filmed, Guchan takes a bite of his meal and gives the camera a confident thumbs up. Kwon-jia happily records him as he compliments the food, thinking to himself how adorable she looks. Holding a piece of steak on his fork, Guchan offers Jia a bite. Startled and blushing, Jia stares at the fork in surprise. Guchan points out that she's been filming him eat the entire time and hasn't eaten anything herself. Insisting she put down the camera and eat, he brings the fork closer. Hesitantly, Kwon-jia leans in and takes the bite he's offering. As she eats, Guchan asks if it's as tender and delicious as he described, his cheeks flushing red. Covering her mouth, Jia thinks the situation is so embarrassing that she can't even taste the meat. Overwhelmed, she excuses herself to the restroom, while a calm Guchan tells her to take her time. Inside a stall, Jia frantically tries to calm down, insisting to herself that Guchan has no personal feelings for her. A quiet moment passes as she reflects. Suddenly, Jia grimaces, realizing her new heels are already giving her a bloody blister. Dejected, she admits she feels disappointed by Guan's apparent disinterest despite all the effort she put in. Still in the stall, Jia hears a voice outside recognizing her as Kwon-jia the YouTuber. Two men gossip about her, mentioning her recent controversy and the man with her, whom they suspect is the victim. Letting out a weary sigh, Jia stays silent. One of the men suddenly realizes the restroom is unisex and expresses discomfort, saying he can't walk out yet. Growing anxious, Jia wonders if they are seriously waiting for her to come out. Spotting their shadows under the door, she feels trapped inside. A sudden clatter outside her stall startles her, and she looks up in alarm. Her eyes widen in terror when she realizes the men are right outside. Quickly, she locks the door, preparing to push back if they try to force it open. Silently, Jia begs for them to leave, when Guchan suddenly appears outside,